Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
You know what that is?
No, I don't.
That is me fully vaccinated. I've reached my final peak of invulnerability and immunization, or whatever the word is. I am fully vaccinated.
It sounded like you were choking. Okay.
That's what that was
I don't think. You clearly haven't had enough alcohol. Otherwise, you would have been a bit more animated about it. But there we go. That's a little closer to what we're expecting. Well, that's very awesome. Welcome to the fully vaccinated club. Life's good on this side, I would say.
Andrew has acquired. How'd you put it in the text message?
Well, you sent a GIF of. Didn't you send a GIF of Scott Pilgrim, I think? And so I said, Andrew has earned the power of immunization. Something like that. Having just seen it not too long ago, I was reminded of the final level when he confronts Gideon, and he I think he earns the power of love, and then later the power of self-respect, and kicks some ass accordingly. So like I said, awesome. That's great. Hopefully Sarah is there with you.
She is as well. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's fantastic. And it's having been there now for a few months. I've kind of had to wait for the vaccines to become more widely distributed and stuff like that. But Anna and I have now been fully vaccinated, and it really just feels like life is finally starting to return to normal. We're not quite there yet, but this is the closest we've been in such a long time, and it feels just refreshing. And I'm about to have an in-person graduation, which would have been unthinkable probably even a few months ago. So we'll be wearing masks throughout the whole thing and distanced and stuff, but it's progress. You know what I mean? And so. After the past year plus at this point, you latch on to any sort of progress that you can get and just relish it. So that's very good. I'm glad to hear that. And for those listening, if you haven't had a chance to make a vaccine appointment, we highly encourage you to do so. I think pretty much everywhere it's open to all adults.
And there was a lot of talk about that second dose knocking you down.
And you did okay with it?
I still felt kind of like shit for a little bit.
Okay.
Once again, it was a 2-day thing, but I was able to do yard work and do the auction on Sunday, and because I got it on Saturday, and then I was able to work all day on Monday.
Well, that's good. So you're, I mean, I was down and out for a little bit, but functional and back on your feet within a couple days.
That's
sounds
right.
like. Yeah, good. Yeah. I was fine with my first dose. It was the second dose for me that knocked me on my ass for about a day. I had flu-like symptoms for a day, and then I was fine.
That's it.
After that, so it's worth it. It's the price of admission, if you will. And some people feel
COVID.
Totally fine. Yep,
just take your shots.
That's the flip side.
You don't want COVID. I promise you don't want COVID.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even speak to that. You're listening to someone who can, though. So we listen to him.
I get questioned a lot about it where I work, and just with the realm of people that I deal with on a daily basis, I get questioned.
Sure, I can only imagine.
And my response is always the same. I just don't want to catch COVID again. That was far worse than anything the shot could give me. And to be completely honest with you, I've put worse things in my body than a vaccine. So I can
like McDonald's, like Burger King,
exactly, on a weekly basis.
Maybe some Wendy's every now and then.
Maybe I worded that wrong. People might think I did the terrible illicit drugs. No, never did any hardcore drugs or anything like that. I'm just saying that I eat fast food on a weekly basis. I do a puffer. I get my nicotine. I drink alcohol. There's far worse that's been processed through my body than a vaccine. So go get your shot, damn it.
Go get your shot, damn it. That's the new slogan for the podcast. Watch, review, repeat. Go get your shot, damn it. Well, you're back with me, fully vaccinated, feeling good. And we're talking a Taylor Sheridan flick on this episode, so what could be a better cause for celebration than that? We're talking Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is in theaters and on HBO Max as of recording this episode. Been up there for, I guess a few days now.
Yeah, it's something hot and fresh.
So yeah, this is well, at least when we're recording is fairly hot and fresh. By the time it goes up for the listeners, who knows? Like I said, I got graduation, and I've got some cause for celebration there. So
However,
when I make time for or for editing, I'll make time for it, and
I will make one of my few plugs.
All right,
However,
go for it.
If you're a Patreon member, you can stay hot and fresh. You can catch this. You could have caught this hot and fresh.
Next time, the next time this happens, which is effectively every time that it happens,
That's right.
We record an episode. It goes up very shortly, later onto the Patreon feed. In its original form, minus any major alterations, and you can experience the full glory of us just recording and talking, and then you don't have to wait. It's just a crazy concept. Only $2 a month. I mean, what more could you ask for? But that was a very good plug. I appreciate that. I wasn't going to go that direction, but yeah, patreon.com/watch review repeat. If that tempts you for future episodes down the line. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this movie with you. I do think, even though I said it at the beginning of the last episode and it turned out to not be true, I do think this will be a shorter episode than some of the ones we've done recently. Although I guess those Falcon episodes weren't too bad because we split them in half. But we got light news this week, light on the news this week, which is good. It's kind of refreshing. Doesn't happen very often. It always feels like we're being buried by news, and it's our choice to cover it, obviously. But I don't know. It's just how we do the show, I guess. I don't know who to blame. It's really our own fault, but it is what it is. But light news. A movie that isn't terribly long, maybe not a terribly deep movie, but certainly one I think we'll have some fun talking about, and then, whatever else we'll get up to on this episode. But what we're going to get up to right now is a little fun fact action for people who want to know a little something about those who wish me dead, because I'm bringing the fun fact this week.
Oh, Colton's fun fact.
Yeah, which I should really just rephrase that to say that IMDb Trivia is bringing the fun fact this week, because I think they had a pretty decent one, and I really don't know that I can rephrase it and do it any better than to just kind of read out kind of what it has, because I think it's a little punchy. I think IMDb Trivia is usually pretty shit. It's just user-submitted trash. It doesn't really go through any filtering process. There's no real creative writing necessary for it. But, the fun fact is Nicolas Cage was considered for a role. No, that is actually not it. But that is kind of a fun fact, so I'll give you an actual one after that. But what would he have been in this movie? I don't know.
He would have replaced a Littlefinger.
He would have been one of the assassins. That's absolutely true. Anyway, here's my brain went to John Bernthal's character. I'm like, no, I don't buy that. The assassin makes way more sense. But no. Here's the real fun fact. Taylor Sheridan, who our listeners may know as the creator of Yellowstone, which we talked about and haven't seen, but also as the writer and director of Wind River, which we covered a while ago, as well as the writer of Sicario, Hell or High Water. He was initially brought on to rewrite the script for this movie. It was originally written by a couple other people adapting a novel. So he was brought on to rewrite it, and then there was a filmmaker that was attached at that point to direct the film. But when that other filmmaker dropped out of directing the film, Taylor Sheridan called the studio with an offer, and he said, quote unquote, "If I can get Angie to do this with me, I'll direct it for you." The studio said, "Great, you'll never get Angie." And, well, the rest is history, as they say. So,
wow.
Taylor Sheridan is directing, Angelina Jolie is starring, and that is Those Who Wish Me Dead. So,
what brought that on? What do you think that's about?
Angelina Jolie, she's picky. I think, these days she doesn't star in a whole lot. And so, it kind of usually calls for something special or something that, I don't know, means something to her to draw her out of the woodwork. So,
like, he just thought that she would be perfect for the role?
I guess. I don't know how, I'm again going off of IMDb Trivia, and there's no room for expansion there, but
right. I'd be curious to know what the backstory is on that. That'd be interesting.
I don't know. Maybe he just took a maybe as he was reading this, the script. I think a lot of times screenwriters envisioned certain actors playing certain roles, and so maybe the whole time he always had like this is Angelina Jolie, like that's the pipe dream casting if I had my way. And this whole thing comes around for directing. He's like, I don't know if I really want to do it, but hey, if I get the opportunity to actually do it the way I want to do it, then fuck it, I'll do it. And so maybe that's the way that it panned out. I don't know. So anyway,
yeah,
like I said, Taylor Sheridan directed, Angelina Jolie starring. So yeah, that's pretty neat. That's Those Who Wish Me Dead. We'll talk about that, and really, hopefully, not too long, because 5 pieces of news on tap. 5 pieces of news. I mean, that's just incredible. One of these pieces of news I could have spread out into 5 separate pieces of news. We'll get to that second. But the first thing that we'll talk about is something I think we can get through pretty quickly. Just a little bit of an announcement, a date release announcement, the kind of thing that we used to do pretty frequently last year, but fortunately have not had cause to do too much this year. So you may remember getting a trailer or two for a little film from Disney called Jungle Cruise, starring the likes of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt.
I do remember this.
I don't know that it looked particularly exciting or particularly special, but, it's a Disney theme park movie. Hey, they've done a few of those. Some of them worked out. Some of them haven't. Most of them haven't, probably a more accurate statement. So, track record is what it is. But this film is going to be heading to theaters and Disney Plus Premiere Access on July 30th. So that's what's going on.
Fabulous.
With Jungle Cruise. So it's just a couple months away. Not too bad.
I will watch it at home.
You can watch it at home if you want it. It's it's got that $30 price tag that'll be slapped atop it. But it might be rollicking fun for a couple hours with I think both The Rock and Emily Blunt are very charming actors, so maybe they can carry it. You know what I mean? Maybe they can steer the ship in the right direction. I was struggling. I was trying to piece it together as I went through the pun, but yeah, that's
very nice.
That's pretty much what's going on with that. So I'll probably. We'll probably check it out. You know what I mean? Like, what else is coming up?
We'll definitely check
day?
it out.
I don't know.
I mean, have a family
maybe
night,
something.
And we'll have a family night over at the house, and you can log into the Disney Plus, or we can do the Disney Plus, like, watch what I watch thing.
Yeah, I might be able to try that. That would be good.
Yeah, and then we can all watch it together. That sounds cool.
All right, so there you have it. Jungle Cruise, July 30th. Next up is this is the piece of news that
That's a big one.
could have been broken up into 5 separate pieces of news, because technically what I am reporting is just the latest in a long string of castings for a very, very big film that we're looking forward to, something that Netflix is looking forward to spending lots of money on, I guess they've already spent quite a bit of money on it.
$500 million.
$500 million is going towards, or has gone towards, the Knives Out sequel. Knives Out 2, as we're just going to currently call it, although I imagine it'll get called something different. Rian Johnson's back to write and direct it. Daniel Craig is back as Detective Benoit Blanc, but he's off to solve another mystery that surely demands a very, very extensive and talented cast, much like the first one had, and it's going to be a different family, a different mystery, etc. So it's basically an all-new cast besides Daniel Craig, and had we recorded like 3 or 4 days ago, we would have known like 1 or 2 names, but we're here now, and we have 5 names that we know have officially joined the cast of Knives Out 2, and I think each of them are very exciting. So the first one that we heard about was Dave Bautista, who joined the cast, which is very awesome. People will know him as Drax the Destroyer from the Guardians of the Galaxy films. He's going to be WWE. They may know him as Bautista from his wrestling days. That's very true. Little role in Blade Runner 2049. I think he's going to be in the upcoming Dune film from Denny as well. So he's putting quite the resume together. He's going to be in the upcoming Army of the Dead from our favorite Zack Snyder. So that's one piece of casting. Dave Bautista's
Fun fact,
on board.
That dude is 6'4", 289 pounds.
Dave Bautista is a mountain of a man. Yeah.
He's a fucking monster.
Hey,
oh my God.
If Game of Thrones was made a decade later, they could have just cast him as the mountain and gotten away with it.
6'4", 284 pounds.
AKA, do not fuck with this man.
Like you see people on TV and you're like, okay. And then I think I'm 5'9", like right around 200. Dave Bautista's 6'4", almost.
Yeah, so let's just say that for old Benoit Blanc's sake, let's hope that the murderer is not Dave Bautista, because good luck bringing that man down.
I'm sorry, tangent. I just googled Dave Bautista, 6'4", 280. Well, I forgot how much he weighed, but goddamn, that's big. He's a big dude.
Yeah, big dude. He's gonna be joined by Edward Norton as well. Who is not
a big dude.
Who is not a big man. Hopefully he's the murderer. That would be fine. Definitely easier to pull, to put him in some handcuffs and say, you've done a bad thing. The donut is not a donut, or something along those lines. Third, Janelle Monae is going to be making some acting, doing some acting in Knives Out. I think traditionally known as... I'm good with words today. Don't even worry about it.
She's going to be making some acting.
I mean, is that technically correct? I mean, grammatically it's exceptionally
right.
poor, but I think it might be technically correct. But yes, I think traditionally known as a musician, but she's done some, I think, a decent amount of acting lately. With like the second season of Homecoming, she was in that, and then Antebellum, which I don't think either of us saw.
I haven't watched it. I wanted to watch it.
That was a weird COVID affected one. I think it's one we probably would have seen had it not been for just
I think it's on
everything
Amazon,
that happened. But yeah, it might be. So Janelle Monae is in that. That was one that got Anna exceptionally excited. She's a huge fan of Janelle Monae, so that's very exciting. Yeah, I think both. I think just in general, she just likes her, as a person. So
what, Harriet or something?
I think, yeah, maybe. Not sure. And then Kathryn Hahn is another. It's another actor joining the fray. So
WandaVision's Kathryn Hahn.
WandaVision's Kathryn Hahn.
Agnes,
that's correct.
Not Agnes, I'm sorry.
I think she won an MTV Movie and TV Award very recently for her role in WandaVision, which is obviously probably the highlight of her career. Oh yeah, that's like the biggest awards ceremony out there. Actually, I don't know if that's true, but it's still a thing. It's still definitely a thing. Yeah, I mean, she's had a pretty exceptional career. A lot of obviously comedic roles and many films. And Knives Out 2 seems like a perfect next step for her. And then last but not least, because we'll almost certainly be back next episode with maybe 3 or 4 more names, maybe even 5. We'll see. Leslie Odom Jr. Is the latest to join the cast of Knives Out 2, and he, I think we just talked about him recently. I don't remember what it was for, but he is Aaron Burr, sir, and Hamilton. Played Sam Cooke in One Night in Miami. Maybe that's when we were talking about him. Was when I was talking about seeing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he was in Harriet for sure. So just looking at his page. So yeah. Yes, Janelle Monae was in Harriet as well. So yes, that's correct. So yeah, those are 5 outstanding choices. Like I said, that first movie had an exceptional cast, and like that's like a tough thing to live up to, and like you can't just do the same thing again, obviously. But it would have felt disappointing to not assemble a crazy, ridiculous ensemble cast. Yeah, it feels like almost the appeal of it in a certain sort of way.
It's kind of the niche it has now, So half a bill's going to fucking paying your actors and actresses. That's what half a bill's going towards.
Netflix is footing the bill. They're, they want to make sure that their investment pays off. So, get some good names in there, some recognizable faces,
and that's people everybody
will watch
likes a whodunit, but that's kind of what made Knives Out so absurd whenever it was announced. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Remember us covering the freaking bill for that? That was crazy, that was the whole niche. So kudos to Netflix for carrying on, And if we get a third movie that's completely disconnected and it's another tale of whodunit, then we get a third one with just a ridiculous cast. It's totally awesome. I'm all for it. Couldn't be more excited. Good get on Netflix again. So, and good get for fucking his production company. What's his I can't think of his name.
Oh, Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson. Yeah, kudos for killing it, dude. Kudos for killing it.
Yeah. Well, just as a side note, the Netflix deal was for 2 sequels, so there will be a third one.
Yeah. That's what
so
I meant,
there'll be a third one. So yeah. So and that one we'll give it a few years, and then we'll be discussing the ridiculous cast for that one before long. So
it's awesome.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if we come back. Maybe not next episode, maybe the one after that. But I suspect we'll be seeing even more names to add to that bunch. And
kudos
I think,
to Dave Bautista's manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you might be playing like the musclehead in this movie, but this is like a star-studded cast, and you're involved in it. You're not just playing a brute in John Wick or something like that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have you're a top build role. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean it's good get all the way around.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what I think makes the theory, this Knives Out franchise, I guess they're kind of building in a way, so exciting is if you do it kind of this way. Like everyone's still a suspect, It's like they got the one big actor. I wonder if they're going to be, the big hot, suspect or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? It just feels like any one of these actors. I'm like, hey, that could be them. We don't know anything about the plot, but they all feel, like big names, big splashy names. So it's just like, okay, all right, we'll see how it turns out.
People being guilty, I could, so it's cool.
Yeah, very cool. All right, last piece of news, and then we got a couple trailers we'll hit on. John Boyega is going to reunite with Joe Cornish for another sequel. That was my segue, was talking about sequels, because that's a very uncommon thing that we have these days. But a sequel to a film that came out quite a long time ago. Quite a long time ago, being 10 years ago. 10 years is a long time, okay. 10 years ago. 2011.
That's a long time for a sequel to come out.
For a sequel, yes. For a sequel, I think that's a pretty decent length of time. Attack the Block is getting a sequel. So Attack the Block 2 is coming with John Boyega back starring as Moses, which is a character he played in that film. And will be, again, directed by Joe Cornish, who wrote and directed the first one. So it's, kind of a nice reunion here for a film that I think is probably pretty underappreciated, not really widely seen. It's something that came out before John Boyega kind of hit the mainstream with Star Wars, playing Finn. And Joe Cornish, I think, hasn't really done a whole lot since then in terms of directing. I think he's partnered with Edgar Wright a few times here and there, but I think he's largely just kind of done some writing and stuff. He's done one film. He's directed one film, and that was The Kid Who Would Be King, which I thought looked bad, but got good reviews apparently. So
did it really?
I don't know about that one. So, but anyway, Attack the Block. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we watch this together at one point?
I think we did. It's been a while.
We did too. It's I would say 10-year-old film. We probably. If we did that probably would have been at least 5 years ago. It probably would have been before The Force Awakens. So
I think so. I can't remember. I don't know. I know I watched it with you though. I know you exposed me to it. I will say that.
Yeah, and it's a cool, stylish flick. Very, very British. It's one of those layer cake type of films where first pass you might miss some dialogue here and there because of the accents, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, very cool. It's it's like a sci-fi flick, alien invasion type thing that in like a neighborhood in London with these this basically gang of kids that kind of come together and fight off the aliens. People may recognize. I don't know if you remember this. It's kind of funny, but around the time that John Boyega was cast in Star Wars. This was like the biggest role that he had, and he wields a sword at one point, I think, against the aliens. So there was a lot of photoshops of him, people turning the sword into a lightsaber, and they're like, this is what it's going to be for Star Wars. Anyway, here we are. 3 Star Wars, well, many Star Wars films later, but 3 sequel trilogy Star Wars films later, and just John Boyega is just he's almost a household name at this point, I would argue. So
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good get. It seems like they want to do this thing. They wanted to make a sequel happen, and so it's just kind of a cool thing to see come together a decade later. And I'm excited to see kind of the direction that they go with it. And I would encourage anyone to watch this film, Attack the Block, if you haven't already. I'm not sure if it's streaming anywhere.
It probably is at this point. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably been streaming, every now and then. But anyway, you can track it down. I think it's really just a very entertaining and well put together film. So yeah, kind of what I got on that. I assume you're in for it. Is that a hot take? No,
I'd definitely be in for it for sure.
Cool. So any other thoughts on that? I guess I should say.
Nope. I'm in for it. That's it.
All right. Very good. All right. The 2 trailers. First one is a very, very short. Look, I think there's been a trend of trailers just getting longer and fucking longer. You know what I mean? Where like a teaser trailer is not really a thing anymore. And there's often the 15-second preview of a trailer before you watch the trailer. That's a very common thing. This to me kind of feels like, I don't know. It's a 58-second teaser, but it's listed as a trailer, so it almost feels like one of those 15-second like previews for the full trailer. And I'm like, all right, where's the rest? But anyway, we got 58 seconds on the long-awaited G.I. Joe prequel, Snake Eyes. So,
have you checked your text messages?
I have. So you seem to think that Mr. Henry Golding, who is playing Snake Eyes in this, bears a passing resemblance, or maybe even more than a passing resemblance to one Carl Urban. Is that your feeling on it?
Am I far? Did I just?
I think. So there's you sent a screen cap of basically.
I still have it up on my screen. Fucking guy looks like Carl Urban.
Timestamp 48 seconds is what I have, and I'm pretty sure it's basically the expression that you sent. And the expression and just something about the way his face is sitting is very Carl Urban-esque. I've never seen, I never would have made the comparison based on seeing him in the rest of the trailer or really in anything else, but something about that very specific frame does it.
Think about a Judge Dredd helmet on top of him.
Well, he's got a Snake Eyes helmet he can wear. That's close enough, right?
Yeah, maybe, and just cover up, I'm going to reach up and...
I guess it wouldn't be because you need the lower half of the face. You need the... Yeah. It's what it is. It's like it's like a permanent grimace is what it looks like. Yes, he's just very... Oh, I was trying to show it to you, but my mouth is blocked by my microphone, so it didn't really come across. But yeah, just that scowl, just that permanent scowl across his face. That's the quintessential dread look. So I see it in there. I do see it in there. So let me ask you this. What'd you think about the 58 seconds of Snake Eyes that you saw, bearing in mind that it's not actually Carl Urban or a relative of his, but anything that's gonna get you to go see it in theaters?
No, you put it on HBO Max, I'll watch it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You put it on Netflix, I'll watch it. It looks like a cool... I mean, don't get me... I've been a glutton for a lot of things. I mean, we're coming out of a pandemic. We haven't had... I feel like I haven't been exposed to a lot of things lately. So if I get some cool choreography, some cool action sequences, I think I rated Mortal Kombat higher than I normally would have rated it, just because, hey,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
When's the last time you saw that sort of thing? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I never watched the other G.I. Joe movies because they look like shit. I'm pretty sure this one's going to turn out like shit too. But that action sequence on that thing looked pretty cool. You got cars flipping, you got a person jumping off of a crotch rocket, hopping in between trailers and kicking ass with a sword. That's cool. You got ninjas, that's cool too. And you got Carl Urban's son kicking ass too, which is awesome.
Carl Urban Jr.
Yeah. KUJ. Anyways, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's probably going to be shit, but It looks like it was kind of cool. It takes some cool action sequences.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, maybe it seems
There's
like
not a lot to go off on here.
I think that's just what it is. This is barely a trailer, less than a minute for a film that's basically 2 months away. That to me is a worrying sign.
Absolutely.
That this is the first we're seeing of it, and that this is all we're seeing of it at this point. But at the same time, they have not spoiled the entire movie, with their trailer. So I give them, I guess, some small amount of credit for that. But at the same time, this is a movie that I think needs to deliver on one front only for it to be worthwhile, and that is the action department. Because it's a G.I. Joe movie. I'm not expecting any highbrow storyline. I think it's going to be pretty whatever in that regard. But if you can get some sweet action set pieces out of it, good sword play, some decent gunplay. We see some Uzi action, I think, in the beginning there. Then I think that's good enough to make a movie like this worth your while. Don't, as long as it's not super long or whatever, and
yeah.
It absolutely could be the best G.I. Joe film of the three, including this one that they've made, because the first one is absolutely fucking horrendous dog shit. It's unwatchable trash. The second one was better, but still bad. And so this one doesn't really seem to be connected in any way to those two, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know, Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. Like, they got to stick G.I. Joe in there somewhere just in case people don't know Snake Eyes, which is like, I think, the most famous character from G.I. Joe, period. So I don't know if that's really necessary, but hey, branding is what it is. I don't know, I'm not looking forward to it, I guess, but like, there wasn't anything in this trailer that made me think, oh my God, why are they doing this? Which I think up until this point, had you asked me, like, what are your thoughts on a G.I. Joe, or I'm sorry, what are your thoughts? Well, it's probably true for that question too, but what are your thoughts on a Snake Eyes solo origin film? I would think, no thanks.
No,
I don't
you.
need that.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing here? Like, who greenlighted that shit? So, like I said, if it's action heavy and delivers on that, then I'm not going to be too mad about it. So yeah, we'll see. July 23rd is when this is heading to theaters. So it's a Paramount flick, which means no HBO Max, no Netflix. But it'll be on Paramount Plus 45 days after that, so someone can do the math on that and figure out. So a few months later, or a month and a half later, whatever it is, it'll be up for streaming. So yeah, that's Snake Eyes, July 23rd for those who want to venture to a theater and see it. And hey, I got A-list, so maybe I'll do it. We'll see. But Carl Urban Jr. Looking good in this. Henry Golding, he's very good. I will say that. What I will say is, I enjoyed him a lot in the one film that I've seen him in, which was Crazy Rich Asians, where he played the lead character. So I am curious to see
is that Carl
what
Urban's
he does
son?
In this one. That's Carl Urban's son, yes.
Okay.
Henry Golding. Yeah. So who is of Malaysian and British heritage.
Well,
so
Carl Urban's
so
Australian.
So not
That's pretty close,
not,
right?
I think he's from New Zealand, but close enough. They're geographically close to each other. So yeah.
I debated even bringing it up. It would sound like an asshole.
It's the expression. I think I would not have made the comparison otherwise. But he sent the screen cap, the expression, the grimace. It's very Dredd-esque. I agree with it.
The dude looks just like fucking Carl Urban in that fucking picture.
Yeah, and he looks just like him. Yeah, that's it too. That's part of the argument as well. So anyway, last but not least, another trailer for
down to the brow, down to the eyebrows, the fucking lips, the 5 o'clock shadow. It's all fucking Carl Urban right there, dude. I'm telling you, I stand behind it. Debate me, motherfuckers. 49 seconds into the Snake Eyes trailer, that is Carl Urban's son looking down at you with a grimace. And he's looking at me like that because I'm calling him Carl Urban's son. He's pretty pissed off at me, it looks like.
I mean, Carl Urban's a handsome man,
yeah.
He's very charming, so I don't think it's an insult, really.
And they both kick ass. It's cool, But anyways, we'll move on.
We'll move on. Let's see, the last trailer, the one that I hemmed and hawed about putting it in there, and it's the one that 2 seconds in you asked, is this an animated movie?
0 seconds in. I paused it at 0 seconds.
Less than a second in, you're like, what the fuck is this? Is this an animated movie?
00:00. Hold on a second. Is this shit animated?
Indeed, it is not animated. It is the official trailer for Dear Evan Hansen, the film adaptation of the staged musical, starring a 30-year-old man as a 17-year-old boy. And let me tell you, this 30-year-old man looks about 40. He looks about 40. I'll tell you. I struggled to watch this trailer. I was so fucking distracted through the whole goddamn thing. So I don't really have anything to say about this other than apparently the musical, most people seem to like it pretty well. I think it gets pretty good marks overall. I think Anna might like it. I don't quote me on that, but I feel like she's seen it. Not the Broadway version, but a version of it and enjoyed it. Ben Platt, who plays Evan Hansen, the main character in this, is actually only, I think, 27. I looked it up. He doesn't look like a 27-year-old. I guess he's younger than me. Look, I'm not going to say that I'm the most youthful man or anything like that. He's younger than you as well. But just something about him looks. He just looks older. What are you trying to say?
Why are you dragging me into this for? I don't need to be in your
because technically you're a little older than me. You're just a little older than me. So you're another example of someone who. We'll say looks like they're in their 20s, and we're not gonna pass for kids either. You know what I mean? It's fine. We don't get carded when we buy alcohol because we look old enough. We look older than 21. But we don't look 40. We don't look 40 is what I'm saying. I'm saying we look more youthful than the 17-year-old boy that we saw in this trailer. Is what I'm saying.
They don't need to make me look animated. I'll tell you that. That's fine. I
don't need to apply some digital shit on your face to make you look like I'm definitely a kid. Look at me.
Actually, I
have an oversized polo, so I'm a child.
I do need animated shit on my face. Lord have mercy. What have you gotten us
anyway,
into?
So he originated this role in the Broadway musical, and I think that's great. I'm sure he's good. I'm sure he's great. I'm sure he's got a great voice. I'm sure he was perfect for this role. Apparently he started it only 5 years ago, so I'm sure he's perfect for this role if you're in the balcony tier and you can't see anyone's face all that well, because you're far enough back. You're just I think that's a kid.
That's close.
I really can't tell. It's good enough. When you're filming it like this, like a fucking movie or whatever, man, it's distracting as all hell, because this is literally just Steve Buscemi, running through this entire school. How do you do, fellow kids? That's the entire movie that I'm seeing right now, is because it's just fucking ridiculous. And I this is like an age-old thing. I think about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Come on, man.
Yeah, basically, look, Tobey Maguire and
Seabiscuit.
God, Seabiscuit. Yeah, sure. I was trying to think. The guy that plays Flash Thompson and that first Spider-Man movie, Kirsten Dunst, I think, is the only one that was even close to being high school age. I think she was legitimately 18, 19 around the time they filmed that. Whereas Tobey Maguire and Joe Manganiello, that's his name, they were clearly a few years older, is what we'll say. It's just. There's something to be said for suspension of disbelief, and there's something to be said for just fucking cast people that look like kids. Tom Holland was he was youthful. He's still youthful looking. You know what I mean? He's too young to fucking play Nathan Drake in his own movie. That's how youthful he is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But at least he felt like a high school appropriate Spider-Man. And this is just this is just a grown ass man pretending to be a child, and I'm this is weird, and I don't like it. I'm distracted, and I can't say anything about the plot of this movie because I don't know what it is, because I couldn't parse it out while I was too busy being distracted, and I couldn't be fucked to watch it again, because then I would have just gotten distracted again. So anyway, what do you got on Dear Evan Hansen? Any other thoughts?
So I'll say everything aside from the actor, which was incredibly distracting because he either had way too much makeup on, or he was digitally altered and he looked like an animated person, or everything regarding that man. Disregarding everything regarding that man. That's probably what I should say.
Yes, very good.
Looked very touching. The premise of the story looked very touching. It looked very interesting. It looked very good. And apparently, I didn't read any of the names. I just read the captions across the screen. With them being involved with La La Land and I didn't catch the other one. I just saw La La Land. That's all I needed to know. Sounded like it could be pretty good. Like it looked like a touching story. It looked like it could be a good thing. With everything disregarding that main guy, because I'm with you. Like at first I thought it was watching an animated movie from that first like snippet, and then they close up on his face while he's singing the song, and it's like, holy shit, look at like you can see like it's just a trailer, and I don't know if my internet connection was just a little slow because my NIC's going out in my computer. I need to rebuild my computer, and like I just don't know, my shit's too slow, and it just looked real bad. But it looked like it was real bad, like makeup on that dude's face, trying to make him look younger than what he was while he's singing at the
probably
talent show.
tried to youthify him. Yeah.
And it looked real bad. And he just felt completely out of place. It was very I agree with you. It's 100% distracting. But everything else seemed really strong. So it's kind of disorienting.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me just like just cast someone that doesn't look 40.
Just cast somebody else. Right.
I don't know.
Just cast
and like
somebody else.
I said,
That's it.
he originated the role. I'm sure he knows exactly how to perform this role, and that's all well and good. It's one of those things, like some things just
come on, man,
don't
just
translate.
Give it up. Just give it to somebody else.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a good cast overall. Amy Adams, Julianne Moore, Caitlin Dever, Amanda Stenberg. You know, so I it's one. I guess I'll give it a chance or whatever. But
I think it might be one.
Like
of those
I said,
things
I have heard good things. So
when you, it's almost like it might almost be like that. Battle Angel. Was it Battle Angel? It's like one of those movies, where you think you're
like
gonna,
the giant eyes were just like, oh my god, what are they thinking? And then 2 minutes in, you're like, okay, this is fine.
It's fine. Like you just get like involved with everything, and you just get kind of sucked in, and like you're okay with, like you might not be okay with it, you know, when you sit back and think about it, but at the same time, like you're sucked in, you just kind of like accept it for what it is. This is what's happening, and then you just get absorbed into what it is. That might be the case with this. I hope that's the case. I hope everything else.
I hope so too.
Is far superior, because it seems to be the case. I mean, at least with me. I mean, it looks like a touching story. It looks really good. So we'll see where it goes. I'll be down for another musical if it's anything like Hamilton. I'm down, or La La Land. Yeah. I'm down for that too. I listened to that record the other day. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
I move on.
Yeah, no, I mean. La La Land is fantastic. So if this even touches, that bar, then obviously you got something special on your hands. But September 24th, later this year from Universal, heading to theaters. So Dear Evan Hansen, for those who are familiar with the kind of the source material, you're getting a film adaptation, and then so, hey, I hope it turns out well. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but I might give it a go. So that's what I'll say about it. So yeah, that's it. That's the news. Oh my God. Can you believe it? Still took us longer than I thought it would, but it's probably because we were talking about Dave Bautista and Carl Urban. Carl Urban for a while. Yeah, that's probably mostly what it was.
It's mostly me.
It's mostly just Carl Urban. And Andrew.
It's always me.
And Andrew talking about Carl Urban.
It's always me. I'm sorry.
But that brings us to talking about Those Who Wish Me Dead. Which again is in theaters now and on HBO Max for the next month or so, roughly, for those who want to check it out and understand what we're about to talk about. We'll do a little small, tiny edition of the box office breakdown right now.
We're breaking back into the box office breakdown. It feels good.
It's we're gonna have to bust it out with a little bit more regularity as we talk about some movies. Those Who Wish Me Dead had a pretty less than stellar debut at the box office, unfortunately, but not really surprising. Not exactly a rush out of my home in the middle of a pandemic, even if I am vaccinated, and go see it in theaters kind of movie, especially when it's sitting there for you on HBO Max. This is a perfect HBO Max kind of film, you know what I mean? So it ended up registering $2.8 million in its opening weekend, which was good for number 3. Behind the likes of Wrath of Man, which is that Guy Ritchie, Jason Statham movie that's been out for a little while that neither of us have seen. hence we haven't talked about it. And the other major debut for the weekend, which is something else that we also have not seen, and that is Spiral from the Book of Saw, the Chris Rock's Saw movie, which made $9 million. So, a pretty lackluster weekend overall for anyone, really. And so, it is what it is. It's a little bit of the box office for you, and, it's... the box office always has its ebbs and flows. Some things do better than others, and sometimes you just have some less than stellar weekends for all the major players. So that's what you have here. That's what you have here. So Those Who Wish Me Dead was written by Michael Kurita, Charles Levitt, and Taylor Sheridan, and directed by Taylor Sheridan. It stars Angelina Jolie, Finn Little, Nicholas Hoult, Aidan Gillen, John Bernthal, Medina Senghor, and Tyler Perry. It's about a teenage murder witness who finds himself pursued by twin assassins. It's kind of weird. It's just two assassins. But pursued by two assassins in the Montana wilderness with a survival expert tasked with protecting him and a forest fire threatening to consume them all. Like I said, I think it's a pretty, it's a pretty tailor-made HBO Max kind of film, and that's obviously how we both were able to experience it. So what are your feelings on Those Who Wish Me Dead?
All right, so where do I start with this movie? Okay, so the first thing is, I'm sorry, while you were doing everything, I was looking up replacement headphone cables because my shit's all messed up.
Don't lie to me. You were looking up pictures of Carl Urban. I know your ways.
That's on another tab.
It's another tab. Okay. All right.
But fun fact, that is another tab. Just Carl Urban pictures.
All right. Well, while you're not daydreaming about Carl Urban and headphone cables, what do you got on Those Who Wish Me Dead?
You called me out on that shit. Anyways, I in trying to find a fun fact for this movie, there were things in this movie that I didn't realize. We could talk about it in spoilers. It's whatever it is. There are things that were evidently, I don't know if they were evident or not. They may have just been called out in the credits, but characters' names and stuff, just did not make anything evident. Like the way they the beginning, the pacing of the pacing of the movie is a little off in the very beginning. It's kind of like breakneck, boom 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 boom, here and here. I didn't have a problem with it. Sarah did point it out and I did recognize it. It is kind of back and forth pretty quick there in the very beginning. But overall, I think Angelina Jolie nails her character. I think she does a very good job. I think the little boy does a very good job. The little boy carries a lot of weight in this movie, and I think he carries it pretty well. Especially with like the weight the character has to, what the character goes throughout the film. I think he does a good job of expressing what that character goes through. Taylor Sheridan does an excellent job of I think letting the cinematographer know what he wants to express, because I think that it was well expressed. I don't think it's like Sicario level or Wind River level or anything like that, but I do think he does an effective job with cinematography and everything else, and just trying to express what he wants to transpose onto film. I think he does a good job of that. I think that the score was pretty good. I thought it was pretty riveting, especially like in the beginning and stuff. I think that the gunplay was cool. I think that the characters, while I don't think that there's a whole lot of character development or anything else. I mean, there's a little bit of it with certain characters, more so than others. I do think that the character, not the character, the archetypes of the characters are cool. I think that's what I'm trying to say. The archetypes of the characters, like what each character represents in a nutshell, I think is pretty neat. I think that the bad guys pose enough threat, and their purpose is enough. I think that wilderness is. I think the wilderness is. That's one thing Taylor Sheridan does better than a lot of people, I think, and I think that's what makes him so riveting as a director, producer, writer, whatever. I think that he takes the environment and turns it into a character. In this case, the environment is very much a malevolent. I've had a little bit of wine, so I'm having trouble talking. A malevolent force, like it doesn't care about whatever's going on. It doesn't matter. It's a force, and it'll eat you up. It doesn't care. You know what I mean? And I think he transposes that well with forest fires and stuff like that, you know? And he turns nature into something to be feared and something that, you know, just tear you down. And I think that's really cool in this movie. Pacing was a little off. Characters were... The majority of characters were pretty shallow. Only one character had a you know, more to chew on, I think. Kudos to the sheriff's wife, who was the ultimate badass.
Yeah.
What's the actress's name? You'll know more offhand than me.
Medina Senghor, who I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything before. So
Medina Senghor is a ridiculous fucking badass. She's awesome. She was definitely, I think, maybe she's up there with favorite characters for sure. She's just totally awesome in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And anytime she was on the screen, I really enjoyed it. And Angelina Jolie, anytime she was on screen, I think she really nailed it. I think kudos to Taylor Sheridan to, you know, saying I want to work with this person, and if you can make it possible, I'm in. You know, because she, you know, he read the page and said this is what I want, and he got it, and I think he worked that to the fullest of his extent based on what was on that paper. You know, what was on the papers, I should say. And I think it was good. I overall enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's not a Wind River. It's not a Sicario. It's nothing. I don't think it's anything spectacular. I do think it is. Like right now, if you were going to go watch a movie, I think this is one that you would probably like. This is one I could recommend to watch. Which we're going into recommendations. Which I'm sorry, I don't mean to like jump the thing. But like,
no, that's okay. You just take it from here. I won't offer any input whatsoever.
No, I don't mean that. But I mean, it's. I think cinematography was efficient and good. I think it was interesting. I think the beginning, the pacing was a little off, but I think it leveled out. I think it was all right. I think it took care of itself as the movie progressed. I think that the villains, I think that the overall arc was, I don't know the best way to put it. It wasn't overly, like, I would have enjoyed to know more about what created the problem or the rising actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed more, rather than having like a MacGuffin or whatever. I would have enjoyed to have more, like, more. What's my word? God damn it! I can't think of my word. God damn it!
I know what you mean. It's hard for me to. I don't know what word you're searching for, unfortunately, so I can't help you out like I usually can.
Like
sometimes,
expository. I would have enjoyed more exposition on. I would have enjoyed more narrative from like what is happening and why are these people doing what they're doing. Instead, they kind of wrapped it up under a MacGuffin.
Yes, very much so.
They just created a problem and then wrapped it up under a thing and sent the story forward, which Which is, I mean, if that's your goal, I mean, it served its purpose and it got everything to where it needed to be. But at the same time, it kind of felt hollow because there wasn't a whole lot of meat there. And that,
you didn't have a reason to get invested because it didn't ever really give you that.
No, exactly. There wasn't a whole lot. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of meat on the bone there. You know, it's just, hey, this is the problem. People are running from the bad guys, and that's it. Boom. That's all you get.
Yeah. So this is very serious stuff. Oh, okay. Well, what's so serious about it? It's just very
Doesn't
serious.
matter. Don't worry about it.
It's just very serious. Okay.
That's it. So that's my biggest gripe about it is I didn't have a whole lot of attachment to the problem, you know. But the bad guys were bad enough, you know, and they were there. I mean, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of there on the bad guys, which is, I mean, it is what it is, but
they were bad.
They were bad, and that was enough.
Some people in this world are just bad, or
they just want to see it burn.
Good. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So,
but
yeah,
that's about it. Littlefinger was cool. It was cool to see him in something other than Game of Thrones because I thought he was equally as terrifying as one of these guys as he would be in Game of Thrones. He plays a pretty niche role as a bad guy, and I think it's a good fit. I think it's good. I liked him as it. The Mad Max guy was cool too. Don't know his name. Do you know his name?
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, he was good.
Yep.
I enjoyed him. He seemed to be a little bit, you know, at one point in the story, I thought he seemed to be like I thought we were going to have like a struggle with that character. I thought we were going to have more to his character. Like maybe he was going to be a little bit more nuanced. Maybe he was going to turn into like maybe a good guy or something like that. But that never happened, which is okay. Whatever. Yeah, it was just a pretty black and white story, and that's okay. It had good cinematography, and it had decent action sequences, and it was in nature, and I think it filmed nature good, and yeah, it was all right. It's totally all right.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with everything you said. So I think I always say it, you know, well, I agree with everything, and I'm going to continue to rattle on for another 20 minutes in spite of that. And I don't think I'll need to do that here because I do think that, and I didn't hear a single thing you said that I disagreed with. So really what I would say is it's a very watchable film, and I think that's its strength. It's pretty brisk. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. You know, I think it's a little slow in the beginning, and it picks up, and you know, it's you know, the pacing has some wonkiness for sure, but overall, it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's just kind of entertaining. You know, you got moments of violence here and there. You've got you know, characters that are played very well by very talented people. Angelina Jolie is very good here. I fully agree. The kid, Fenn Little, is great. The villains are appropriately villainous and compelling to watch. And, you know, John Bernthal is great. You know, he's got a couple great scenes, and his wife is a scene stealer. So, you know, that's pretty much your principal cast, and they're all very good, but they're playing characters with not a lot of depth in them. And they're characters that feel like they hint at depth, you know, I think Angelina Jolie's character is the only one that we see a bit of her backstory, and we kind of get a sense of like what she's about and why she is the person that she is, and why she's doing what she's doing. But it's still pretty fleeting. It's just enough to get, you know, a snapshot of who this person is. The kid, you get a little bit of a snapshot. The villains, you get nothing, but it is what it is. Like I did absolutely pick up on the one thing you mentioned, like, oh, is there a little bit more here? And, you know, there are moments where they're, you know, they seem cold-blooded at times, and then they get thrust into certain situations. They're like, let's figure out a different way of doing this, you know? And it's like, okay, there's a little bit of nuance there. But yeah, there's just not a lot to read from any of these characters, you know? That's not to say that they're bad. There's just not enough there. And I think that the film's biggest shortcoming is that the plot, when you kind of look at it, It's nonsensical at times, and in a way, and I think ultimately, because you don't understand the scope of anything, because you don't understand the gravity of anything, you just have to be continually told this is very serious, and you should, this would have very big implications for big people and powerful people. It's like, that's probably true, but it almost felt like there was another 20 minutes that could have unfolded after the movie ended, where it's like, okay, the big threat has kind of, subsided or whatever, and what's the fallout of that? You don't really get that, so it's kind of weird. Maybe we can flesh that out in spoilers if you want, but it just kind of felt like, okay, I guess that's that. And it wasn't bad, it wasn't, uninteresting. It was perfectly watchable and perfectly enjoyable, and a pretty well done thriller with some good stuff in it. But it kind of felt like it hinted at being a little bit more, but it didn't quite make it there in terms of the story. But Taylor Sheridan, I think directed this thing pretty well. He made the directing pretty well. I was trying to do some synergy with earlier in the episode there. He made some directing pretty good. I think some of the wilderness stuff in here, I think the landscape shots in particular are just gorgeous to look at. So it's a very pretty film. Cinematography stands out for sure. And so, I liked that aspect of it, and I think that just kind of made it more watchable, is just to kind of see, the way that it's set in this kind of, I guess, Montana, not a typical place for films to be set, to the backdrop of the, these firefighters and, surprise, surprise, a huge fire erupts at a certain point in the film, and that dominates the scope. I talked about it in the plot synopsis, so it's not like that's a big spoiler or anything like that. So, I think that the setting of it is very cool, and it adds a little bit to it, but it doesn't, that does not a film make, So, not surprised that this got pretty okay middling reviews. Like, yeah, it's fine, it's pretty good, It is what it is. It's really kind of how I feel about it. So, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, I guess, is kind of my bottom line with it. I've got some misgivings with it, and I don't really need to I really do. I mean, those are the things that stuck out to me. I think pretty much everything you mentioned is just really exactly where I stand. So, I have nothing else to offer as far as non-spoilers. Why don't we do recommendation? So 5-tiered scale is very yes at the top, followed by yes, totally fine as the middle ground, fine below that, and then shithouse at the bottom. So where do you stand on this? Those who wish me dead. What are you thinking for recommendation? How would you recommend this to our listeners?
I'd say it's totally fine.
Okay.
I think it's totally fine. It's
okay.
It's brisk, it's quick, it's easy. It is. I think it's well made. I think that the people that are in it are talented. I think that they just didn't have a lot to work with, and it's kind of a shallow deal. That's pretty much it. I mean,
all right.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's what I just did. I'm like, let me say something. I'm like, that didn't feel like I said enough. Let me just say something, and I'll just say it again. We're good. We're done here. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, can't really do a whole lot on it.
I think realistically for me, it's probably somewhere between a totally fine and a yes. I think that's totally fine. Feels like it's underselling it a little bit, but at the same time, it doesn't do anything exceptionally well enough for me to justify really bumping it up that extra kind of degree. It's good, it's, and I guess, totally fine almost seems like a misnomer, I guess, in a way. Just because something's totally fine doesn't mean it's bad. It's like, you enjoy it for what it is, and you get no more out of it, and you get no less out of it. And that's kind of where this one ended up landing for me.
That's pretty much it,
yeah. Maybe that's an expectations versus reality sort of thing where, I don't think either of us had high expectations, thought the trailer looked solid enough, gave it a go on HBO Max, and hey, you end up here and thinking, yeah, okay, well, 2 hours of my life, I didn't mind it, no regrets. I thought it was good. Some good stuff in it. Could have been better in some respects, but hey, that's how it goes. So, I wish that I think this is to me a kind of film that, even though I don't necessarily it's a weird sort of one where, like, I'm glad that the film as it is wasn't 2 hours long. It easily could have been a film that was 2 hours long.
That's right.
However, I think if it was a film that was 2 hours long, it would have needed more to the plot. It would have needed either something to follow up at the ending to round out. You know, it would have needed that MacGuffin that you talked about to be fleshed out and for it to make some sort of sense. You know, you would have needed a little something extra to justify.
Would have needed a lot more, right?
Yeah, and because I think it was pretty short and to the point and not really dwelling on kind of the major details, it gets away with, I think, a lot of things that a film, you know, with an extra 20, 30 minutes of runtime wouldn't have been able to do, and it would have been like, why is this so fucking long? You know, so it would have been Justice League-esque, you know, Zack Snyder's Justice League-esque, you know, so this is kind of the antithesis to that, which is good. So yeah, I'll say totally fine as well. Again, just bearing in mind, I think that, I think that undersells it just a hair. You know, I think you might find a good amount of enjoyment in it, or you might not. You know, I really don't know. It's kind of, I can't think of anything in this that was so egregious as to be like, oh, someone's gonna hate this. It's just, you know, a pretty well done thriller. You know, some good set pieces, good scenes, good setting, and good performances all around. It just never quite ascended into, an upper tier of filmmaking that certainly that we've seen from Taylor Sheridan. You know, this is definitely lower tiered Sheridan. I think overall, Wind River, I think, is a vastly superior film all around.
Yes.
Can't speak for Yellowstone in terms of TV shows. I've heard people kind of comparing this to Yellowstone in terms of like kind of the quality. So I don't know if that's a fair statement or not. But I think, compared to like Sicario and Hell or High Water, this to me, at least from a screenplay standpoint too, is definitely, the dialogue's not as sharp. No. Some of it's a little on the nose and all right, that was a little corny, my dude, here and there. But it never makes it worse. It's just like, okay, all right. I see. This is a movie. We're making a movie here. Okay, we're not making high art. All right,
and that's okay.
So it's totally fine. It's just totally fine. It's what it is.
It's what it is.
I don't know. I don't have anything else there. Let's do full spoilers for those who wish me dead.
So I looked up the Wikipedia of this movie. Apparently, these people, the hitmen, are brothers.
Yeah, I made a crack about like, oh, twin assassins. Oh, that's dumb. And they apparently have the same last name. I'm like, oh shit, they are related to each other. Okay.
Right? That's pretty much where I was at.
I don't think they're twins, I guess, to be fair, but I was just like, oh, I had no idea. I just assumed they were like hired by the same company or something like that and just partnered together. So yeah, that does not come through in the film at all. This is based on a book. I don't know if we've said that before. It's based on a book of the same name by Michael Carita, who co-wrote the screenplay on this, I guess adapted his own book. I'm going to guess a lot of these characters have a lot more depth in the book, and a lot of that just kind of... A lot of that, I bet, just fell by the wayside and adapting to this to film. I don't even know if it's a case of, oh, this was a 2 hour and 15 movie, 2 hour, 15-minute movie, and they chopped it down to be snappier and more to the point. Like, I think it's really just like, that really wasn't, it just didn't seem like they tried for that. It was really just like, you guys get it. We're more concerned with doing some cool stuff, some cool scenery and cool set pieces. And like the characters, you get enough of the archetype, to get it. But beyond that, who cares? Is kind of what it seemed like from like the direction that they were trying to go for. But yeah, I had no idea. Yeah.
And apparently they're working for the mob. Had no idea about that.
Yeah, maybe. So, I mean, I guess they're working for Tyler Perry, who gets into a government vehicle and then never shows up in this film again. The whole MacGuffin angle, I think, was weird. Because it felt like I was waiting for what's the payoff here. They're very cagey about like, oh, I found out this thing that, I did the right thing, and I found this thing that could just really fuck up lots of lives or whatever. And it's like, okay, we don't know what it is for most of the movie. I thought we'd get something. I really did think we'd get something. I understand
if you don't want to tell your son about it, but then maybe it has implications for Angelina Jolie. Maybe it's got implications for her.
Yeah, something.
Anything. I thought maybe the cop, maybe the old cop that was eating the steak, that is like, hey, maybe you should eat a salad. That guy, not the Walking Dead dude, but the old cop.
Yeah, the mustache guy. Yeah.
I thought maybe he would have been corrupted and maybe would have shot the other cop or something like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It felt like
anything more than what we got.
It was literally just a plot device, and it kind of felt like, okay, like it worked as a plot device, but again, there was nothing. There was no resolution to it other than this big secret's going to come out and it's going to do big bad things or whatever. And like, I don't know. I saw someone online, and it was something that I thought might happen at the end too before I even read about this comment. So it's somewhat probably not an uncommon sentiment. You see the marshals show up at the end. I'm like, oh shit, is Tyler Perry going to step out of the vehicle? And it's like, oh shit, like, what does that mean? But Tyler Perry just doesn't appear again. And it's just weird. It's like, who the fuck's this guy? Like, what's he doing? Like, Nicholas Holt's like, oh my God, we're going to go see this guy? Oh, fuck, shit, man. And it's like, oh, he's just like, they just have a nice level-headed conversation, and then he's never seen again. It's like, okay.
They cut shit out. They had to cut shit out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or I don't know. That's the most logical explanation for why that goes nowhere.
You watch the Mad Max dude kind of like showing facial expressions to him burning up the forest, like, oh shit, oh. And
he's like, it's a little fucked up, dude. Like, that's a little extreme, don't you think?
And he's like, don't you think, brother? About overexposure and this and that and everything else, and then hey, listen, she's pregnant and blah 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 blah, and then it's like, well, no, she's pregnant. I want to be the one that shoots her, and then. And then they had the shootout, which is totally badass. Like, I like the sequence where she's looking at the four-wheeler, and then she's looking at the dirt bike.
She sees a horse.
She sees a horse. I'm going with you. It's like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. She was the ultimate badass. And I got to say, this film did surprise me in the sense that as soon as she showed up and she was pregnant, I'm like, oh, no, Taylor Sheridan, don't do it, you motherfucker. Don't do it. I absolutely 100% thought she was done for. And
no,
I thought that
she comes out with a fucking blowtorch.
Yeah. He came to that, they come knocking on the house, and I was like, here it is. I'm gonna feel sick to my stomach watching this shit. And I think almost that single-handedly made me enjoy the film more, was that she was just a badass. Just like, yeah, she's a fucking survivalist. She's got this whole camp that she runs with John Bernthal, and like, they're fucking badasses. So she's just out here just being like, outsmarting them, fucking blowing, turning Littlefinger into Two-Face, like, it was badass and getting away.
That was really
and
cool, right?
And then she just puts them down, later on. They have the shootout, she reloads faster and takes them down. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, one-on-one, she just fucking clowns them. It's great. It was awesome. And she does it while 6 months pregnant. So, that was pretty great. So, yes, I appreciated that things did not go the way I expected they would there. That was very, very satisfying to watch.
That was probably the most satisfying part of the movie.
Yeah, she was great. Standout for sure.
What else was there? I enjoyed watching Littlefinger get hit by that car.
That was good. That was good. Yeah.
He gets completely fucked up the entire movie. I did enjoy that. Brother,
yeah.
He's leading on the tree. He's like, brother, I'm fading. He's like, I know, dude. I know. And then he gets like shot up. It's like, I fucking hate this place. Yeah, it was. I did enjoy that whole sequence.
It was funny, just every scene it was something new, just to fuck with them. That was pretty good. That was entertaining.
You did get Angelina Jolie pulling a Tomb Raider, just fucking people up with her hiking axe thing.
Yeah, that was very Tomb Raider-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good. Yeah, she got fucked up earlier. She's
a badass too. Second badass is Angelina Jolie. She fell out of the fucking tower.
She fell basically the entire length of that tower when it's mostly fine.
Yeah. Fell out of the tower. I thought by fucking lightning.
She got struck by lightning. I thought that sequence was ridiculous.
Got the shit beat out of her. She also parachuted out of the back of the truck. Like, she just doesn't give a shit. Angelina Jolie is pretty badass in this movie. I undersold it in the beginning of the episode. I apologize, but yeah, Angelina Jolie, total badass. But she didn't take down. I guess she kind of took down an assassin, let him burn to the ground.
Yeah, she had an assist from the kid, but she cleaved him a few good times with that axe. So
yeah, she did.
He wasn't going anywhere. Let's just say, so he's definitely not coming back for a sequel. He's definitely burnt to a crisp, or probably to ash at this point. So, yeah.
And that forest eating him up, that was total Anakin. Like he just got ate up by that fucking fire.
This was pretty Anakin-esque, yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. I didn't dislike any characters in this, which I thought was nice. The kid was not annoying. Always refreshing when the kid is not annoying. He felt believable, not overbearing, and okay, he didn't take direction at the end and go hide in the lake, but he saved Angelina Jolie, and so they kind of did a little teamwork, taking out an assassin. So they made it work, and it was good in that standpoint. Just, everyone was enjoyable. John Bernthal was good. I liked his scene of just being like, oh, you guys aren't going to kill me? Oh, fuck off. Just shoot me right now. That was a good scene of just being like, I'm not buying your horse shit. So, unfortunately, as is customary for John Bernthal in films, he did indeed die by the end, because where would we be if John Bernthal didn't make an appearance in a film and not die? He's the new Sean Bean at this point, I'm convinced. Because
it's true. Fucking Sean Bean.
But yeah, it was very entertaining. It was a very entertaining film. I didn't, even when it felt like a little wonky and the dialogue was a little off, like I was never not entertained by this film, I think, overall.
That's right. And that's where I said maybe we undersold it in the beginning. It wasn't an entertaining movie. It was just shallow. It was very shallow.
It's just shallow. It needed more. It needed more substance to it. And I think that there was potential to flesh out that substance, and for one reason or another, they just kind of chose not to do it, and especially because it's based off a book, it feels like a weird sort of thing where, like, maybe they changed a lot, or maybe the book is also kind of shallow and it is what it is, or maybe they just, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to kind of really get a read on it, without having any real familiarity with the book or anything like that. But it just kind of felt like anytime they leaned into it, they didn't do enough with it. And like I said, Angie, I think was kind of the closest, where we get the backstory with the trauma that she experienced with not reading the smoke terrible. Right, and seeing like fucking three people just like burn in front of her eyes. Like pretty. Yeah.
That dude ran
pretty
away.
like a pretty awful traumatic backstory that totally makes sense why she's kind of and it has destructive tendencies and stuff like that. But
got struck by goddamn lightning, dude.
She got struck by lightning. I think just that sequence. That's got to be the most ridiculous sequence in the film. It's just like,
we're gonna run and duck through this field. Like, she's okay. We're in this big field. You run. I yell duck, and then I'm gonna run, and then you duck. And we're going to do this all the way through the field. It's like, goddamn, just sit back in the forest a little bit. Just let the storm fucking pass. Why do you want to run through the field with the kid? Then she runs and gets struck by lightning. Then she's got to take off her shoe, and she's got to run out of fucking alcohol or whatever she's putting on her wounds.
The peroxide, whatever it is. Yeah,
it's total Resident Evil shit.
I almost feel like were they doing it just to be like, look at how much. I don't like. It's just what I mean. God, how tall do you think that 200-foot tall tower? That she just basically she definitely goes at least 175 feet of that.
She falls if that's all the way to the bottom.
She just falls. It's like, she doesn't break a single bone, and I think she gets like some shit stuck in her. Like, she probably got rope burn. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
It's like, all right. I mean, that makes sense, but like, also, I'm pretty sure she broke every bone in her body too.
Like, if that happened to me, my first instinct would be, I'm going to ride inside the building. I'm just going to run inside the building. I'm just going to fucking lay down underneath the bed or something. I wouldn't go and jump off the fucking thing and try to hold on to the rope. What are you doing, lady? What are you doing? And rope burn falls all the way to the bottom.
The lightning was very intense. The lightning was following her, man. It struck the fucking building and she was in. Maybe she's got some weird sort of electrical properties that it's attracted to. I don't know. I don't know. But
intro to Storm for the X-Men.
I don't think that's going to play well with comic book fans.
No,
I think they might be upset about something. There might be some particular aspect of that casting that would upset people.
It's very true. Take it back. I take it back. Anyways,
yeah. I don't. Is there anything else in this movie worth talking about? I guess I don't know.
The bad guys
had a little wonky, but
Littlefinger was entertaining. He was cool as a hitman.
They were both entertaining. I think.
Yeah, they did good. They just didn't. I think they did. I think every single person did as much as the writing allowed them to do. I think that it was a star-studded cast.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody leveraged as much as they possibly could for the characters that they were given. I just don't think they were given a whole lot.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
And I'm not going to totally blame Taylor Sheridan, because when he knows he has complete control of the script and when he has complete control of the camera, the dude is a force.
Yeah, right. And as we talked about, he came onto this to do rewrites and then ended up directing it. So and it's adapted from a book. So it's Taylor Sheridan light in terms of kind of what it is, in the sense that he get his direction, and I think he nails that particular aspect of it. And I think the shortcomings of this film can really be pinpointed to the script. The performers do everything they can.
I think the movie's probably propelled forward because of Taylor Sheridan. I think anybody else, I think it would have been a much less thing. So
yeah, it could have been easily the most generic run of the mill kind of thing. But it's still a cut above that. It's got shortcomings,
totally
but
fine.
it's a cut
It's totally
above.
fine. It's totally
Some something it could have been. In much less capable hands. I agree with that. So, I don't know if I have anything else really for the movie. Just for what they did, I think they succeeded. But it could have been a lot more. I think overall, and it left a bit to be desired in terms of
that's right,
setting a few balls in motion and then not doing anything with them. I think that was probably what held it back overall, is not executing those things in the way that it seemed like it was going to. Not even subverting them in like some different way, like it did subvert some sort of expectations, but it really did feel like there was either some stuff cut, or I don't know, just whether or not it was cut in the post-production process or it was cut from a screenplay and then they didn't reshape the screenplay to be internally consistent to kind of make sense with it. I don't know where that happened, but it definitely felt like it got trimmed here and there, and it made it worse for it. But
that's what we got.
It's what we got. It is what it is. That's what I got on Those Who Wish Me Dead. I really don't think I have anything else to say on it.
That's
it. Very, very small edition of the Listener's Corner, if you please. From Dalton Brown, who writes in talking about a film called Profile.
I heard about this movie.
You've heard about it. All right, well, I'm curious to hear what you've heard about it after we hear from Dalton, who says that he saw it. There was lots of tension, very intense, and that I guess it was it had a limited theatrical window. Then it'll be up on video on demand. So might actually be on video on demand by the time this goes up. So have you've heard things about Profile?
No, I haven't really heard anything. I stress the truth.
You know what it is though, or
no? I looked up movies out this weekend to see if there was anything.
Oh, okay.
And it's in theaters.
You just saw it's a thing that exists. Okay. All right. I saw the trailer for this in front of something I saw in theaters. I don't recall. I've only seen 3 things in theaters, so I don't remember which one. It was in one of the things I saw. Apparently, it's a film that was made several years ago. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that. Obviously, with obviously all that's happened in the last year. But it's a 2018 film. It's one of those similar to... God damn it! What's that film? It all takes place on a computer screen. Is kind of how it is.
Oh yeah, the movie with the
Searching is
guy.
the thing I think I'm talking about. Yes. John Cho, Searching, which was really good, and it was a very kind of clever use of it. This is kind of like that. I think the main woman is basically pretending to convert to Islam to basically gain ties with like, I guess, terrorist fighters and do some, I don't know, journalism on that and kind of the recruitment tactics and stuff like that. I think was kind of the idea of it. But it's a thriller and it's all online and they have these online conversations and things escalate. So, the trailer looked kind of interesting. And as Dalton says, it's apparently very intense and lots of tension. So, I think it's gotten pretty solid reviews. So not anything that I'll be seeing in theaters, I don't think, but it's an option for those who do want to have a night out at the cinema. They're ready. Maybe they haven't been in over a year and they say, I want to see something in the cinemas. That's one of your options. So that's, I think, it for the listener's corner. Just like it's just a brief one for this episode. So that brings me to asking you what you've been up to lately. Any good stuff?
Not really, no. So I
right.
watched...
Well, fair enough.
I'm getting a fence put in the backyard. That's pretty cool. We talk about that at all?
I don't think so. It doesn't ring any bells for me.
All right, so I'm having a fence put in. A white privacy fence, like a white vinyl privacy fence, like the typical HOA neighborhood kind of fence. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's getting put in. It'll be nice. I had this big berm, like this big ditch, like this big culvert, like in the back of my yard. Like the yard tapered down and then rose up into this big ditch. And then there were trees behind my yard, up until the neighbor, probably 15 foot. So I managed to reduce that berm down. So my dad came in with his tractor. And we got some loads of dirt and stuff, and we managed to take that ditch that I had. It was just a big lump of dirt, and we managed to turn that into we managed to make a grade on it. So we got rid of the ditch and just tapered it upward, if that makes sense. We made a gradient on the ground. And push back the yard, so now I effectively have more yardage in my usable yard, and but we still have an effective ditch essentially. And then the fence is getting put on that top elevation versus on the very back portion of my property where the yard is much lower, and it's going to be a white privacy fence, so I won't see the people that live behind me, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And I'm going to have more yard, which is pretty neat. But right now it's all dirt, so I have to turn it into grass. So that'll be a thing. But the guy that we hired to do the fence is working very, very, very slow. It took him effectively 5 months to come out to the house. He's finally out to the house. He's finally doing it. And he's been out here for about a week and 3 days. And he's just working very slow, but he's an old dude. And his son's not particularly the fastest person. And so it's just a slow process, but it's happening. It's slowly happening. By the time you come down to Florida, it'll be done, which would be pretty cool. Hopefully I'll have grass by the time you come down. So that's pretty cool. I have a white privacy fence, which is neat. My dad got me that for Christmas, and it's finally coming around, which is neat. And I have more yard space, which is pretty cool. And what else is there? I hung a ceiling fan, I think, in the backyard, which I don't know if we talked about that on air or not, but just house stuff, just working on the house and whatnot,
Yeah, nice. Always good to have some home improvements.
I got new appliances. Did we talk about that?
We did talk about that, yes.
All right, so
we got some goodies in there.
Working on the backyard, working on a fence. I got my COVID shot, which is cool. So I'm fully vaccinated. Sarah's fully vaccinated, which is equally cool. This Is Us season finale is finally up. That came out tonight. We didn't watch it tonight. We'll watch it tomorrow. But I don't know what the fuck's up with their fucking season. But it seems like they only put an episode out a month, which is fucking bizarre. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what it seems like. It's just the most bizarre episode schedule I've ever seen. I've never seen anything quite like it, but it's up. I think the season finale or the series finale is tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's about it. I think that, God, I don't think I've watched anything really besides this. Yeah, I think that might be it.
All right. Well, it is what it is. I don't think it's been super long since we recorded last, but so yeah, I think last episode I was up in Vermont. I had a lovely time up there. I'm now back in Philadelphia. Graduate in 2 days, so by the time this goes up, I will have officially graduated from law school, which is very, very exciting.
So I saw Anna post a thing. We can watch her walk across the stage or something, right? Can we?
That's true. So again, by the time this goes up, unless you're on the Patreon feed, maybe it'll be helpful. It will be live streamed online, the graduation, and it'll probably be archived if I had to guess. I think it's just like a YouTube stream that they're doing, so I imagine it'll be archived and available to watch if you have the link. So yeah, you too, if you're listening, may be able to go watch an archive of me walking across the stage, and so that would be very cool. I'll probably put information on my Facebook page for anyone that does want to watch it, and so hopefully by the time people are listening to this, they were able to enjoy that in some capacity if they had access to that link. So I'm looking forward to that thing happening. The graduation is very exciting. It'll finally feel like the completion of a journey. So yeah, that's my personal life stuff. And the other things that I've been up to, I've been watching a few movies. First one is Little Women, which I watched again. That's the new version of it. Came out a few years back, directed by Greta Gerwig, which was in my top 5 for the year, whatever year it came out. I think 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Fantastic film. I felt a little bit like Andrew, I must say, at a couple parts where I just got a little weepy, and I'm just like, damn it, man, this film is just hitting me in all the right ways. I was like, I think I said something to Anna to the effect of like, damn, this must be what like Andrew feels like every time he watches a movie. It's just like every little thing was just like, oh no, I was ready to bust out in tears. It's a great film.
Feels good to
cast.
cry, damn it. Feels good to let that out.
Yeah, no, it just tugs on the heartstrings. Those Little Women, they just get me. They just get me every time. But great cast. Saoirse Ronan, Florence Pugh is wonderful. Meryl Streep, Laura Dern, all great. Highly recommend that one. I had the Blu-ray. Her mom hadn't seen it, and she's a big fan of, I think, probably the book, but I think also the 90s version with Susan Sarandon, which was also very good. So, yeah, I really enjoyed Little Women. So I absolutely have no qualms with it being in my top 5 from however long ago that was, because it's a great film and I highly recommend it. I think you might get a little weepy at times too, Andrew, if you happen to watch it at any point in your life. So I recommend it. Other than that, some Star Wars goodness. Going back to that, I think had seen A New Hope last time we recorded, and we've since finished the original trilogy, watching Empire and Return of the Jedi. For Empire, we did the Disney Plus version because the changes are pretty minimal. I think we pinpointed the 2 biggest differences between the original theatrical release and like all the updated special editions. I guess there's 3. There's more Wampa stuff, which I've always liked because Wampas are cool and respect for Wampas. But other than that, they changed the Emperor's appearance because originally it wasn't. It originally wasn't Ian McDiarmid. It was like some old woman that they stuck in a robe and put chimpanzee eyes over her face and had it. And it was a different actor, so they went back and reshot that to keep the continuity consistent. He looks like Revenge of the Sith Palpatine, which is jarring, but I think it's a continuity change that I've never minded. And then the third one is they re-recorded all of Boba Fett's dialogue to be Tamara Morrison doing all the lines, which again is a continuity change that, especially with season 2 of The Mandalorian, just makes it feel more consistent and feel more right. So I've never minded that. Empire.
When did they put Christian
Hayden Christensen. That's Return of the Jedi at the end when you get the Force Ghost. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Return of the Jedi, which unfortunately is not does not come out untarnished in its special edition. But for Empire, it's in my top 5 films of all time. We did an episode on it.
It's
episode 100. I think it's in both of our top 5s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's fabulous.
It's a beautiful, wonderful film. Definitely still my favorite Star Wars film, and it's just comfort food. Return of the Jedi, we actually did watch the original version on DVD, so heinous quality, but you don't get the Jedi rocks scene in Jabba's palace with that awful CG monstrosity singing to the camera. Just the fucking worst. You don't get that. You don't get Hayden Christensen at the end. You get Sebastian Shaw, who's still way too old to be Anakin, but it's still better at least. It's probably there's a couple other things in there,
Facebook,
but
by the way, I don't mean to derail.
No, go for it.
So the funniest meme, it's got.
Does it involve Carl Urban?
No.
Okay.
It's got to do
with.
with.
Carry on.
God damn it! I can't. Shit! You threw Carl Urban in there. That's all I can think of now.
Star Wars related, I assume.
Yeah, no, it's Star Wars related. It's he plays Obi-Wan. Can't think of his name. All I can think of is Carl Urban. God damn it.
Ewan McGregor or
yes,
Sir
Ewan
Alec Guinness?
Ewan McGregor, and it's got him after like 30 years or whatever, and then it's got Obi-Wan after 30 years. And it's just it's hilarious.
The side by side is the Tatooine sons will fuck you up. Is that the bottom line?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I thought that's hilarious. Anyways,
yeah. So yeah, Return of the Jedi. Oh, big. The last big probably difference is Yub-Nub. Yub-Nub's still around for the end of that. So that's good stuff. Yub-Nub's good stuff. I've always liked Victory Celebration as the finale to it. I could go without going back to Naboo and hearing the Gungans, saying "We so free, we," like that shit I never needed. But John Williams' score, I think, with Victory Celebration is really, 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 really great. But Return of the Jedi, the unvarnished, original version was very enjoyable, and I think it's the worst of the 3, but it's got its charm, it's got its moments for sure.
Sure.
Star Wars is good stuff, man.
C-3PO being a god, that's the best.
Yeah,
that's the absolute fucking best.
The Golden God. Yes, very good stuff. And the Ewoks, I've enjoyed the Ewoks. I think if you don't like Ewoks, I'm sure that Return of the Jedi is pretty difficult to watch, but I've always found the Ewoks to be kind of an enjoyable sideshow. So yeah. But Star Wars is good stuff.
You remember the arcade game where you'd fly the speeder through the fucking forest?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, it was the best.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got.
Good stuff. That's all I got on Star Wars, which brings me to my last thing, and that is The West Wing. I gotta catch you up on the latest on The West Wing, and the latest on The West Wing is that I have finished The West Wing.
Whoa, journey over.
My long journey to watching The West Wing has concluded. It was a bittersweet journey. Very good ending. Very good finale. Good final season. Marking the transition from one presidency to the next. I think it did a really good job of that, and just giving every character an appropriate send-off. The final season was marked by a little bit of tragedy. One of the main cast members passed away while they were filming the final season, so they kind of had to restructure how they were going to finish the season, and so they had to accommodate that character kind of dying in universe, and so that was really, really sad to watch. But the way they kind of configured it after that, I think, was just really well done. And all in all, The West Wing, even though I probably bitched and moaned about seasons 5 and 6, seasons 1 through 4 are impeccable television. Season 7 is worthy of those, if not as good, but a worthy conclusion to a great, great show. So I highly recommend The West Wing. It's all on HBO Max now. When I started watching, it was on Netflix. When I finished watching, everything is on HBO Max now. There's also the HBO Max West Wing special, which is just like a live version of one of the season 3 episodes, I believe. It's politics the most ideal version of politics you could get. It's a far cry from what we experience today, but that almost makes it feel more watchable because it feels like escapism. It feels enjoyable from that standpoint. And so, I stand behind The West Wing. I think it's just a really, really good show. Great performances, great actors in it. And sometimes it's very topical and hits on shit that's still, pressing today. It does a great job, I think, handling a lot of different political things, and sometimes it was way before its time, just predicting certain things that were to come to pass, and feeling eerily close to some things in politics that I'm sure at the time seemed like a crazy idea or a crazy, out there circumstance, and then here we are. So, I guess this is going to be the last time you hear me talk about The West Wing on old Watch, Review, Repeat. I think if I had more time and if someone paid me to do this, I would, I think you could probably stitch together a pretty decent bonus episode of just all my little, checking ins on. Yeah, I could just have a little. Well, you probably have like, oh, what you been up to, The West Wing, and that would happen like 10 times throughout. So that would be funny, but it's probably 2 hours worth of me talking about The West Wing over the past year. Probably saying a lot of the same thing every time, but probably still liking it or bitching about it when it got worse, because it did. It did definitely get worse at certain points. But I enjoyed my time with The West Wing, and it was a lot of time. I actually meant to do the math on it. I'm going to see if I can do a brief snapshot of it. But The West Wing was, let's see, seven seasons, 156 episodes, each of which is, let's say, roughly 43 to 44 minutes long. So here we go. We're going to do some live on-air math of 156 episodes times, let's say, 44, and we're going to divide that by 60, and that'll get you to 114 plus hours of television that I watched over the past year with just The West Wing. So I guess it kept me entertained for a little while, you might say, while I was stuck at home for a good chunk of time. So
it's good.
So yeah, it's good. That's what I got. I think we can go ahead and say that's an episode right there. What do you think?
All right.
Under 2 hours. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon, as we discussed earlier in the episode, and have early access to all of our regular episodes, as well as timed exclusive access to any bonus episodes that we work on in the future.
If you want to stay hot and fresh.
Stay hot and fresh on everything. You got to go to patreon.com/Watch Review Repeat. It's the only way to do it. $2 a month will get you access to all of those things. And so that will be money that helps us keep the podcast a little bit more sustainable going forward. Just helps with hosting costs. It works both ways. It's really a two-way relationship.
Symbiotic relationship. If you will.
It's great. So hop on board. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can find links to our social media accounts there. We are at WRRPod on Twitter. You can find a link to our Facebook, or you can just search on Facebook for Watch Review Repeat and like our page that way. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, and you want to be a part of the Listener's Corner in the future, send some thoughts our way to watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Just talking about anything that you've been up to. We'll give it a look, talk about it on air. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And our next episode, I don't think we have anything penned down just yet. TBD. Castlevania Season 4 dropped on Netflix a few days ago. So that's
really?
Gotta
Holy
be,
shit, I didn't even know. God damn it. Fuck.
I haven't watched any of it, so we're on the same page there. So that's something that if we can stuff 10 episodes in somewhere, then we can talk about that. Army of the Dead is dropping on Netflix in a few days from when we're recording. So if you want some Zack Snyder zombie goodness in our lives with Dave Bautista in it, we can check that out. It's gotten pretty solid reviews, I think, overall so far. So we got some options. We'll talk about something, and we'll be back before you know it. So until then,
take care now. Bye then.
Laters on the Menjay.